Freedom is very fragile. It's more fragile when we don't know the truth. You're about to be part of FramersView, where truth is the foundation of every day's program. Join us live every weekday right here on Rumble at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, here's Neil Frame on FramersView.
There he is. It's FramersView, just like they said it would be. Welcome to a Thursday, 18th of June. Can you believe this? We're about to have the first of summer, even though it was like 647 degrees yesterday. God, it was hot. Today, it's cooler. It's better. It's Colorado. The weather will change. It does it every place in the country. Everybody thinks their weather is unique. It is unique to other places, but it's just what it is. Man, the panic that's going on. I wrote some notes today that I just, as I was writing them, I was thinking to myself, let's watch and see how many people, and this is important to understand, how many people are going to jump off the Trump ship and they don't get it. And I'm not going to go that way. There's a reason for that. Part of it's my background. Part of it is common sense. And do I have some concerns? I said it yesterday. There are some concerns. But let's just try to get realistic. Just, I don't know, just a little bit. You got to trust it. Thank you, Joe. Okay. The MOU is PU to some people. The MOU by the Democrats, they are just having a coronary. The Republican non-Trumpers have just given up. The Trumpers are going, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out. So everybody's in a panic, right? And there could be some reason for it, but I got a feeling, and I'm usually right on this stuff. Trump understands how this has to work. Look, we've been this has been a process of, if Trump doesn't do anything with Iran, they hate him. When he bombs Iran, they hate him. When he has diplomacy, they hate him. And I say they, everybody. And when the diplomacy isn't what they want, they hate him. And they know that all of these things are wrong and bad and awful and terrible and oh my God, we're all going to die. But we don't even know what's going on. And I've said so many times over the period of time that I've been on this show, I've said, if you actually knew what the hell is going on, you'd be running down the street with your hair on fire. It's so far beyond anything we can understand. And it's that way in everything you have. I don't care if it's a school situation or it's the Iranian situation. And I would say those two are as far apart as it could be. But when you see what's going on in the schools, you don't know what the whole story is. You don't know who's supporting who's letting what guys in whose bathrooms. When it comes to Iran, we don't know what the deal is. And I can tell you this, Trump hasn't said to his people, look, let's just try to get him to stop blowing everybody up, and we'll make this work out, and somehow we'll work out an agreement in 60 days. I don't know what we're going to do. That is not Trump. It's not Trump. Now, the cynical part of me about politics, and you've heard me say this in the past, the election process, the campaigning is way too long. And every day that there's campaigning, there's more lying, panic, deceit, fraudulent motions, people that saying things they don't belong saying, the same party people crushing other people in the same party because they want to win. And it's too many people. And you would think, well, it's so damned expensive. How would anybody run for office? But the evidence is there's money for almost anybody. I think Ronald McDonald could raise enough money to run for office. But it isn't as simple as everybody thinks it is. Here's my point. When you look at what Trump has done in the past, the things he's said, the things he's promised he would do, he's done a ton of them. The no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, big deal. People that are protected, and it's understood that he cares about America more than politics. But he does know that he has to win in November to keep getting his job done. Because if the Democrats get in one or both houses, I can't even imagine. It's like throwing a grenade in the studio. Everything's going to be damaged. Everybody's going to die. Poor Pickles is going to die, our dog. It's the way it is. He has to win the election. So this MOU, I've got this MOU, and I wanted to bring some of this stuff in because it really, I did a little Grok and Chat GPT and put some stuff together here. And the most important point of this, literally, this is from Grok. The Iran MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding, which is not a contract. It's a understanding. Everybody has to agree to the understanding. Is a 2026 interim agreement between Iran and U.S. And Pakistan, Qatar, they're working on the hostility issues, reopen the strait, provides phased sanctions, relief, and is asset unfreezing for Iran. And a 60-day window. Now, this unfreezing for Iran for assets, they're not happening in the first 60 days. The Strait of Hormuz is supposed to be open right now. And here's what we need to remember. Trump's the only one that went after Iran. He's the only one out of 7 or 8 presidents, starting with Carter, then Reagan, then George H.W. Bush, then Clinton, then George W. Bush, then Obama, then Trump, then Biden, and now Trump again. Trump wasn't ready to go after the Iranian people when he first came in. Why was that? Because they started the impeachments before he was even inaugurated. This time we got past that because we had the House and the Senate when we inaugurated in 2025. But all of the rest of the stuff, let's see, what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of stuff about the MOU. One of them, let's see, where is it? Here it is. The termination and $300 billion in reconstruction development. There's information about that I'm going to be sharing with you today. A video, not just my words. I do this show and I hope you watch it and I hope you believe what I say and I hope you check me out if you don't believe it. And if you want to comment on it, put it in the comments and I'll try to respond back. I got a bunch of comments today and I haven't had a chance to respond, but I will. Point is that these things that are being said are false. They're unreasonable panic because we don't have any evidence, and evidence is important. We don't have any evidence that any of this that we've experienced up to this point is the final. It's not. It's not the final. It just, right now, it's a panic. And there's parts of what I see Trump doing, and I just keep kind of go, God, we've got to give more information out, but he can't because of what we have right now, just releasing the MOU. They will drag this out for 60 days. Here's what I think is happening. He needs to get the gas prices down. He needs to get some political strength back. He needs to be able to do all those things. And then he's going to settle this thing in 60 days, or he's going to blow him up. And when he does that, it'll be in time for the election. I'm sorry, I'm cynical, but I think that's probably the way his thinking is. I also think that in the background, the negotiators that are working for Trump are trying to work this out and get them to understand there's not a 61 day. It's 60. I feel like that's the case. Feelings, nothing more than feelings. But it's proven over and over again. So with that said, there's people who, I watched 20 videos this morning, thought of putting a lot of them on, but none of them were other than just screaming panic, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, about what has happened. And they don't get it. Negotiation, the reason a negotiation lasts a long time usually is because you don't have all the pieces and parts you need. And to get the pieces and parts, I liken it to rebuilding an engine. When there's something wrong with the engine, you got to figure out what it is. Oh, it seems to be something inside the engine. So the negotiation is, look, we've got to take this engine down. We got to tear it down. We got to pull the top off. We got to completely tear it out. We need to figure out what's going on. Then we find the problem. Now we got to get the parts. So they have to order the parts to bring them in to put the engine back together. Right now, we had an engine that was running that was a bad engine, and that was called Iran. Follow with me here. I'm sorry, I'm a car guy. So they've got this broken engine that's been running for 47 freaking years, over and over and over again. They've killed our people. They've blown places up. They've attacked Israel in particular, but many areas of the Middle East. They're another Hitler. They want to take over the world. And that goes on and on and on, right? So if this is going to go on and on and on, we got to figure out how to put this engine back together and make it run smoothly. Is it ever going to be that Iran is going to be the pinnacle of the American dream? Of course not. We've got a religion that is different from the religions that most of our country has. And they believe we are the infidels. We are Satan. And I'm not sure how much and who we'd have to blow up to get that to stop. There's other countries that think we're the Satan of the world. You can't blow them all up. What you just have to do is come up with a way to make these people stop doing what they're doing. Stop hating us. We'll leave you alone. You leave us alone. Sometimes you can't agree. But you can say, look, we don't agree with each other, but if you try something, we're going to blow you up. If you don't, we'll be fine. We're in a position where we can do that. And we've got a president that's willing to do it. So what will happen from here is the question that we don't have an answer for yet, but we'll get it. So got a video that came in. If you know who John Solomon is, John Solomon is, I think it's his website, his company is called Just the News. And he's pretty calm, pretty level-headed. He digs. This guy digs. And, if you go to his website, he's got a few little videos, but basically he doesn't do any videos. He spends his time digging, making phone calls, talking to people, getting answers and information. And that's good, right? That's good. So there's this lady named Christine Balling that I found that was on with John Solomon that broke down the MOU and her concerns without the screaming, without the panic, without the BS, without the out of my mind. So I want to share that with you because that's kind of the starter of what is basically 5 or 6 videos during this show to talk about the crazies, the lies, the deceit, everything that goes on, and then we'll go from there, okay? So take a look at this.
Well, there are no surprises, unfortunately, because I think it was clear that the Trump administration's main objective was to get something signed. So if one goes over the 14 points, a lot of them seem to be concessions or hints towards concessions to Iran. I don't think that this is going to hold. And again, unfortunately, the most important point, now that regime change has been off the table for some time, is the complete obliteration, the complete stop of all of their nuclear development capabilities. And that, of course, is what everyone is going to be negotiating over the next 2 months. So it does make me nervous. That is actually something that isn't more strongly laid out, even in this memorandum of understanding.
So she's right. And this could blow up. There's no question about it. Iran could start doing some stuff. We know that from another story that I was watching, we now know that just yesterday, or a couple days ago, the Iranians were putting mines in the strait. Well, we can't trust them. So here's what I think Trump is trying to do. Trump is trying to establish that, look, we went in and we blew them up. We blew up their nuclear abilities. We took out their missiles, the biggest share of them. We took out their launchers. We've taken away their communication system. We sunk their ships, all the stuff that he repeats over and over again. And then he does the diplomacy. And during the non-shoot, I just went blank. During that period of time, we know that Iran tries to build back up, but they do negotiation. So I kind of understand what Trump's thinking. We did the bombing. We're trying to negotiate. You know, that there's got to be an answer type of concept. We're going to get to the end of the 60 days, and I think Trump will, at that point, make a decision. If it doesn't blow up before this, when I say blow up, the hold off and of everything and negotiations, and those don't go well, or Iran attacks Israel, or they start trying to charge fees in the strait, or they bomb some people, or they put more mines in the strait. That's when Trump may say, "Okay, that's it, we're done." Remember that time when you were a kid? We all do. When we just pushed, we pushed on the button too many times with mom and dad. And then there was a little payment to make. Whatever happened as far as that payment. I come from more of the Marshall process days than it is today. But, the belt does come off the pants sometimes for the kid back in my day. And that's it. You broke it. You broke the possibilities of us working this out. That's what parents do with kids. Kids need to understand when there's a red line and you go over the red line, you need to understand you're not getting away with this. Well, guess what? The kids in Iran and the dad that's Trump may have to just punish the kids to a higher degree. I don't know. I don't think anybody believes regime change is even possible because the very religion that they live with says that anybody that disagrees with their religion, that doesn't live by their religion, is Satan and must die. Whether we're part of their world or saying you can't be who you are with your religion, any other country, Israel, hey, they're Jews. There's people that don't like Jews. I don't know why, but they don't. And so we just be who you are. You're not forcing your religion on us. We're not forcing a religion on Iran. So back off, dude. But if they can't do that and they break the MOU at this point, the negotiations that's ongoing, or the end of the negotiations, and we don't have anything in place, guess what? I think Trump's going to do something. Bombs are in the future. That's my guess. Because I don't think these people, first of all, they don't care about their people. They don't care if they die. They think it's wonderful to die and to go and find the virgins. Man, that's not the way it works. It's just not. So where do we go from here? Well, the answer is that we're going to have the constant, unending lies and deceit by the Democrats. And one of the best ones, for an example, is Hakeem Jeffries. This guy is just BS. Watch this. This is his lies about Iran's strength. This is why the libs who never watch anything else, including this show, don't have any idea of what's happened in Iran because it doesn't get reported. I'm the one that'll admit, hey, I'm not happy with everything that Trump's doing right now. I don't know what's going on in the background. It's none of my freaking business. I may not be happy about it, but I'm not going to say anything like what Hakeem Jeffries is saying in this video. Watch this BS.
Hundreds have been injured. Over $100 billion in taxpayer money has been spent, and Iran is actually stronger now relative to their position in the Middle East than they were prior to this war.
I've heard that one before.
Donald Trump's reckless and costly war of choice that hasn't made the American people safer. Iran is a stronger position now. Than what they were prior to the start of this war. Iran's in a stronger position now than it was before Donald Trump started his reckless war of choice. Iran, in some instances, is stronger now than they were before. Iran is stronger now after 100 days of this war than they were before Donald Trump got us into a conflict.
Yeah, his nose is growing. Iran is stronger now than before Trump started this? Let's pause for a moment and think of how freaking stupid that is. And I'm going to show you a video in a few minutes that reminds us of how stupid that is. We're not in a point where there's some huge power here. Trump is trying to not kill the Iranian people, the innocent people. Now, I'm the first one to admit that a big share of the people in Iran who have the strong religious belief that the leadership has wouldn't be just as bad as the current regime if they took over. But there's probably people, as Trump would say, there's good people there too. I do believe that. There's always good people, even in a bad group. There's people that kind of go, okay, this is our belief, but this is out of control. And that's where Iran kind of is right now. So this is a video, a follow-up of Hakeem Jeffries talking about how it's not as good as what Obama did.
What President Obama was able to successfully do with the Iranian nuclear agreement,
paid for by the pallets of American cash that Barack Obama flew into Tehran,
was bring together Great Britain and France and Germany, Japan, India, and China and Russia at the same period of time. And what Donald Trump now has done is broke up that agreement, detonated it, because Donald Trump has Obama derangement syndrome.
Obama derangement syndrome.
He can't even help stealing the lines. It's Trump derangement syndrome was created because of the Trump derangement syndrome. Nobody cares about Obama anymore. Even the people, and I've got a story today about this whole library that Obama's putting up. I'm not going to go into that right this second, but everybody's not happy with this guy, including his most stringent supporters. So, first of all, for Hakeem to say that Iran is stronger than it ever was, for him to say that the Obama deal was better. Obama sent billions of dollars in a plane on pallets to the Iranian people, to the leaders. Just gave them to them, thinking that would cause them to say, okay, we'll stop what we're doing. They went, oh, cool. Let's build some bombs. Obama didn't get it. Or, my opinion, I think Obama is as bad as some of those people there. I think that he supports the Iranian beliefs more than he believes in America when he was president of the United States. I think he was an implant. I'll always believe that. I don't believe anybody can trust him. Sorry. I'm not going to call him back. He's one of my good liberal friends. We have great conversations. But it's not going to be any different until we get this done 60 days from now. But I want to remind you what Trump has accomplished. And Pete Hegseth, the director of the Department of War, reminds us here.
This isn't a tie. This is not parody. This is not chaos. This is success. Pure American success.
Pure American success.
Hey, you maggots understand that.
10,000 enemy targets destroyed, over 140, I think now you're right, Mr. President, over 150 naval vessels sunk, underground facilities destroyed, their defense industrial base in shambles, their command and control is shattered, their top leaders hiding in underground bunkers, while their mid-level commanders are being crushed in the field. Many of the Iranian military factories and bases that we're systematically destroying were paid for by the pallets of American cash that Barack Obama flew into Tehran.
I think that's pretty well put together. Everybody forgets. Everybody forgets really quickly what people have done. Maria and I were talking, my dear wife and I were talking. Well, she's not a deer. You wouldn't get that. Anyway, we were talking about Obama and Biden, and then you look back at Clinton, and for all of his weirdness and proclivities, he almost looks normal by comparison to these people. These Dems, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Slotkin from Michigan, what she was saying this morning, another one that was just so out there, I didn't even bother. This is where, and okay, they can say that to us, and we go, you're an idiot. But the ones that never watch Newsmax, Fox News, other podcasts, including mine, Dan Bongino, all of these people that are trying to explain to you what's happened, if they don't see that, all they believe is what they're being told. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what really in the depths and the thinking is. All they know is that Trump's bad. He's an idiot. He's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to destroy this country. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. And it'll continue from this day on for the 60 days. It's going to be a run down the line. So we've got part of June, part of July, and then August. And we got to get this resolved at that point. And what will that look like? It could be a mushroom cloud, or it could be they will finally say, and it's a dream that probably won't come true, hey guys, you be you, we'll be us. We have our beliefs. We're going to back off. We don't want you to kill us. And we'll leave you alone. And we're not going to build any more bombs and nuclear stuff and try to attack Europe. The Europeans of all the people should be really concerned about Iran. But they're really not. So how will we get past it is what the question is now, and we'll have to figure it out. But the axis of evil is definitely there, as they say. There was something else I was going to be. The peace through strength is a big piece of this. I think. Here's my prediction. By the way, my prediction was almost exactly right last week when I said this. It was actually a week and a half ago when I said this is going to come to an end this weekend or the beginning of next week, and we got the agreement. Then Friday, well, actually yesterday, they actually signed this MOU, and the 60 days starts. My prediction is it's not going to stay. These guys are going to do something stupid, whatever stupid really means. It's hard to really know what stupid means in this case, but they'll do something stupid. And when they do, Trump's going to have to make a step. But one of the concerns is this $300 billion that Iran's getting. Number one, it's not coming from the U.S. There are some countries in the Middle East that are willing to help them get back on their feet. Honestly, I don't want them back on their feet, but we don't have control over that. But even those people are saying, hey, look, we'll help you, but here's the deal. You've got to make this deal with the U.S. You've got to follow your agreements with the MOU, or we're not helping. And has Trump given money? Here's your answer.
We're not putting up money. Only if they're doing things right. If they're doing things right, if people want to invest, they can invest. There'll be 15 to 20 years to rebuild what they have right now. So they have to behave themselves. If they're not behaving, they get hit again. You know, they'll be hit again because we can do it very easily.
That's his point. That's what I've been saying all along. It's not going to be just simple. They're going to run us over, and it's going to just happen. They're going to attack other people. They're going to bomb people. They're going to shut down the straits until people pay fees and fines. I don't think Trump's going to let that happen. I really don't. I'm concerned about how long he's willing to let this go on, but he's letting the diplomacy try to work, not necessarily work. But while that's happening, why in the hell are we even doing this? Why did we attack Iran? I'm not going to take you through a history lesson, but 47 years ago, during Carter's days, they started this war. It's gone on. Hundreds and thousands of people have been killed by the Iranians, by these people, by their hate of Satan America. That's the way they look at it. And who's one of our strongest allies? It's Israel. They're for a multitude of reasons. And I'm the first one to also admit that Iran has kind of gotten off the rails. Some of the things they've been doing towards the end of this before the MOU, they shouldn't have been doing. Need to follow with a plan. But the reason this whole thing's going on is some of these people that are whacked out that hate Israel. Hassan Piker is one of those. Hassan Piker and Graham Plattner are two people that you have to worry about how they would handle many things if they got power. Watch this with Hassan Piker on the Breakfast Club this morning.
I think Israel in its current formation, given that it's a settler colonial operation that's seeking out the expulsion or complete extermination of the indigenous population as an apartheid state, does not have a right to exist. It's like, for me, it's like saying, does Nazi Germany have a right to exist? Or does apartheid South Africa have a right to exist? Does Rhodesia have a right to exist? No, of course not. People have a right to exist. People do exist. Israel currently exists.
Do you understand what he said there? And the comparisons he's using? So the comparison he's using is the Nazis, South Africa. He's using those as an example. Those are two countries, areas that blatantly killed people, murdered people. That's not Iran. They haven't been out killing everybody. They've protected themselves after they were attacked on October 7th. That was taken care of. But they were attacked. There's a different story here. The story is this. When you are attacked, you have to be able to protect yourself. When you go after, Hitler went after his own country. He was from Austria originally. He attacked Austria first. He wanted to take over the world. Japan wanted to take over the world. And those people get attacked. That's the way it works. You do that. If you get punched in the nose, you have two choices. You can go crying to mama, and you're going to get punched in the nose again, or you settle it. And if you don't settle it, it's just going to keep going on. But a guy like Hassan Piker, that dude's scary. But the hypocrisy, the insane hypocrisy of the Democrats, in the very time that they're against Trump doing the things he's doing in Iran to stop a 47-year war and attack and hate against America, the people that call Trump Hitler, that have been demeaning for ever since Trump went across down the escalator in 2015. Ever since that happened, they've been anti-Trump, Hitler, anti this and anti that. And then you look at what the Democrats are doing right now, how they've completely lost their compass. And the point of this is, when you look at Graham Plattner, Piker and Plattner, Jesus. When you look at Plattner, what he has said, who he is, what he represents, who he's proud of until he's running for office, even after he started running for office till he got caught. And with all that happening, the hypocrisy gets pointed out. And the guy that points it out is Scott Jennings, one of my favorites on CNN. Watch this.
Well, as far as I know, of all the names you just mentioned, only one person had a Nazi tattoo and has chosen to lie about it, and that's Graham Plattner. I mean, he roots for American military deaths. He's mocking rape victims. He demeans rural Americans. He's been abusive to women. I mean, this is what Democrats are signing off on. This is their most celebrated Senate candidate in the country right now. And in fact, his campaign was bragging that after all of these things came out, He raised $200,000 online. You have Democrats across the country investing in Nazi tattoo, abusive to women guy. I mean, that's what the Democrats are signing off on. That's what they're lining up for. You see pictures on the screen right now of Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna was out there believing everything that was ever said, every false narrative about Brett Kavanaugh. And now he's arm in arm with a guy who's clearly abusive to women. I mean, this is the most insane amount of hypocrisy in the pursuit of political power.
Scott Jennings said it best. When you get support for a guy like that from Elizabeth Warren, from Bernie Sanders, from Hakeem Jeffries, from Ro Khanna, he's one of those. Marie thought, he's a good moderate, for a Democrat. No, he's not. He's a complete lunatic like the rest of them. The difference is he's pretty good at putting on a different hat and looking like he's okay. He's not whacked out like AOC or Plattner or little Liz Warren. He's a different approach, but he flies from California to Maine to support this guy that's running for office that I would suggest hates America, and he just keeps claiming he doesn't. But you can't have a Nazi tattoo on you for years, first of all, claiming you didn't know that was a negative thing. You didn't know what it meant. Well, then you shouldn't be able to run for Senate because you're too stupid to figure anything out. But all these Dems, they're in a spot because they've got the Rashida Tlaib and the AOCs and the Elizabeth Warrens and the Hakeem Jeffries and now even Chuck Schumer that are all having to support him, because if they don't, the really far left, which are the ones that I mentioned at the beginning of that list of people, will cause a real problem for them. They will crush their establishment, which is kind of funny when you say that about Democrats. But the one thing they're really good at is sticking with whatever is being said by other Democrats. And that's dangerous, but while it may be dangerous, it helps them get elected. And let's talk about that elected thing for a minute and the consequences. If we lose the House, or worse yet, we lose the House and the Senate, here's what you can almost write down right now. Take your chunk of paper, take your crayon, and write this down. Impeachment begins immediately. The Supreme Court goes to 15 members, or 13, whatever the number they want. They make D.C. and Puerto Rico states, and you get 4 senators that are going to be liberals. They will lock down the possibility of ever getting a Republican office. That you can almost guarantee. They're going to go in and they're going to get rid of the filibuster, and they're going to do what, in a way, I'd like to see us do. And that is pass everything, codify everything we possibly can before this next election. Because I think there's a possibility that when we get down to the bloody guts of what will happen in January of 27, what they're going to do, what they'll start talking about the minute they have control in November. That's if the voting gets done. You got to extend that vote out so they can get enough votes. But once they get power, if they do, we got a real problem, because these are radicalized, out of control, crazy people. And then what'll happen? The next thing that'll happen is they'll have 2 people, a president and vice president candidate from the Democrat Party. They'll get the support of every single Democrat. They will lie, cheat, and steal to get 28 to happen. And if it doesn't worry you, I'm not going to say this is the most important election ever. Every election is important. We've learned that. We learned that when Carter got in. We learned that thank God, we barely won the 2000 election when Al Gore almost won. But the interesting part of that, and we're talking about election here, yes, Florida said it and gave George W. Bush the win, but he would not have gotten that if we hadn't gotten West Virginia. West Virginia, with its little, I think, 2 or 3 electoral votes. The Dems didn't even bother campaigning there. And we won that. We, the Republicans. And so he got in, George W. Yeah, I don't think he did that good of a job, but he was better than having Al, I invented the internet, Gore, who still thinks that we've got climate change when everybody's finally admitting that was all just BS. But they just keep doing this stuff and getting away with it. We can't let them get in office. You have to get your friends to vote. Make sure they understand what the consequences are of a Democrat winning. The power they would have and the chaos they would create. The Democrats always say Trump is chaos. Trump isn't chaos. Trump is in chaos because of Democrats. That's what it is. They create the chaos to be able to say there's chaos so that you don't want to vote for the guy. They're going to do the same thing in 27 if they get power. That's where it'll begin with the impeachment. And if the House and the Senate has power, Trump could be impeached. That doesn't mean Trump has to leave. But what'll happen next? Who knows? Well, first of all, if Trump leaves, J.D. Vance takes over, and I think J.D. Vance is just a quieter version of Trump. He knows about America. He believes in America. He believes things have to be done right. He believes that we have to make it a safe country. He believes that our foreign enemies have to be taken care of and our in-country enemies have to be taken care of. It wouldn't change, but it would be chaos. Definitely would be chaos. And so the candidacy for 26 is important, that we stay on target. I just want to point something out before we get off of this election thing. And first of all, first I want to show you this video. Sorry. The video I'm going to show you is called Clean Up Your Mess So You Can Run for Office, because you're actually believing somebody would support you. And I think they're wrong, but we'll find out. Watch this video. This is important. This is at on a podcast with Hunter Biden. Him cleaning up to be able to get all this stuff out of the way before he starts running for office. I know. To even think he could win seems ridiculous. But it's not out of the question. Watch this.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Certainly your behavior couldn't have been above board for 15 years while your own desperation was raging, right?
Here's what I own.
Yeah. Is there any validity to some of the?
Here's the validity. Yeah. The validity is that I should never have taken the board seat with Burisma. That's the validity of it.
That's the Ukrainian.
Yes, the Ukrainian oil and gas company. It was not with Ukraine. It was not with a foreign government. It was not with an oligarch. It was public about going on the board. I served on 14 other boards before that.
How in the world did this guy serve on 14 other boards? You know, I wouldn't have hired him. This guy shouldn't be a salesman anywhere, let alone in management, and certainly not on a board of directors of a big company. And when you oil and gas, What experience did he have in that? This was all about Joe Biden getting his kid in office. Whatever office he could get him, because a kid can't keep a job. So he got him hooked up with Ukraine because, well, Biden was getting money from Ukraine. I mean, we all know that. That's what happens. So I took a look because elections have consequences and voting is important, and the number of people that vote make a difference on both sides. But the voter ID is a big issue. And I know the Democrats want to blow it off. It's interesting. I did a little research. So voter ID requirements in the U.S. date back to 1950. That's even before I was born. It only became significant in the 2000s. The 2000s, 50 years later, 50. Even longer than the war in Iran. South Carolina in 1950 passed the first U.S. voter ID law. It was a request-only, non-strict measure where voters could be asked to show a document with their name, no photo required. So they had to have a document. And back then, you didn't have all these fake BS things like a driver's license and you're not even a citizen. So it wasn't a big deal. That followed by Hawaii, Texas, Florida, Alaska. By 2014 states had similar non-strict ID rules. Early 2000s, it rose a prominent issue disputing the 2000 presidential election. That was the Democrats being upset about voter ID, not about it being bad, but there were people that were voting that shouldn't be voting, and they were upset about that in the Bush-Gore election. It highlighted the problems with election administration, voter registration, and fraud concerns. That was the Democrats who were worried about that. Not worried about it anymore. Georgia and Indiana passed the first strict photo ID laws. Indiana's was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court in 2008. 2008, that's not long ago. It's 18 years ago. So the supporters, the Republicans, voter ID ensures election integrity. The Democrats, they're worried about it's not fair and people, it'll be hard for them to vote. Come on, guys. We talked about it yesterday. There's nothing hard to vote about this. If you don't have an ID and you're legally of age to vote, then you've never gone to a bar or a restaurant and got booze. You've never gone to a concert. You've never gone overseas. You never ever got on an airplane. You have to have ID for that. You can't just walk through. When I was a kid, you walked to the gate and you still showed who you were because they wanted to make sure you were the person that was getting the seat and they had the ticket. And you went in. They didn't even look at your bags. That was even that way pretty much in the early 70s when I first started traveling a lot for business. And then 9/11 happened. Point is ID, 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 ID. But, oh no, you're too freaking stupid to figure out how you could get some ID. How you could get your social security number, your birth certificate. It's not hard. And these people that say, well, we have people that are non-registered they're paying taxes. They have a social security number. How in the hell did they get a social security number if they're not a citizen? That's fraud. And how do we figure that out? It's a good question. Not sure. Real quick, the fraud thing. Now, I don't want to do that today. I'm going to push that off till tomorrow because there's some more fraud information I want to bring to you. But the last thing, today, they're doing the opening of the Obama Library. And I showed you the day before, or 2 days before, the guy that was talking about the fact that he's $4 million in debt to this progress of putting this library together for Obama, the guy that used to claim that Trump was bad because he didn't pay his bills, Obama, and his administration, claiming those things, and that, Trump and all of his people always short paid everybody. Well, now a union leader in Chicago is talking about the builders. Watch this.
That's a bad signal to put out, the fact that 7 to 8 to maybe 10 of our contractors in our community going to be eliminated from doing business because of the debt that they incurred on this particular project. And they're leaving those contractors, deserting them, telling them they're going to be whole, but they ain't seeing no signs of it. They keep meeting with them, keep kicking the can down the line. They should just tell them when they could get paid.
Yeah, we don't know when they can get paid because, first of all, there's, I believe, it's something in the area of about $800 million to $1 billion for this library. 800 to $1 billion, and it's a great big tube, and something like 16 or 60 acres in South Chicago. And the people that are getting pushed out, there's a lot of people very upset about this building. And these are people that voted for Obama. They're upset with him because what's happening is now the city is trying to take over areas, take people's homes away, get them to move away so they can build all kinds of big structures in South Chicago because they're seeing an opportunity to try to clean up South Chicago, which is good. South Chicago's been a mess for decades and decades. But this isn't the way to do it. That's the point. So here's some of the comments about and keep in mind, this is the union worker that said that. And 8 to 10 of those companies that could go out of business because they're not getting paid for doing the Obama Library. Really? So look at this. The Lakeside Alliance said large construction projects are often complex and that some financial matters continue after building opens. Really, the group said it remains committed to resolving outstanding issues and argued that many companies benefited from participating in the project. Well, you didn't benefit if you don't get paid, you jackasses. This is just horrific for these people. Most of them, by the way, black, because they specifically got black construction people to do these buildings, and now they're stiffing them. That's craziness. So the Obama administration said it paid the Lakeside Alliance, which was responsible for hiring. Sorry, I'm going to go back to that. I didn't mean to let that end. Let's go over here. There's no way that the foundation said it has no outstanding disputed charges with the Lakeside Alliance. Really? They're lying. They're lying like they always do. Just keep hurting people. There's no reason why not, right? You just keep pounding on people, getting them to spend money and not paying them and putting these poor people out of work. That's Obama, the great leader, the first black president. There's a lot of better black people that could have run for office, I can tell you that. Remember Obamacare? You sure do, because it's still around and nobody can afford it. Oh, man. Hey, that's it for today. Thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We'll do this again because it's fun and I get you your information. So stick with me. Check me out if you don't believe what I'm saying. If you got comments, I'll try to respond back to you as quickly as I can. Until then, have a good day and rock on.
Thanks for your support. Join the Framers View Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for your support. Join the Framers View Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern.